Hello, Miss Universe Ghana. Hello.
For you.
I am so good. Thank you for asking. Yes, so us as mental health advocates, it's very important to do a mental health check. So let's ask again, how are you doing?
I love that. Put me on the spot. I am a little bit frantic. As you know, I was doing a lot of editing, getting all my submissions in, but I
Ooh,
just took
that.
a minute, have my water here,
Yay.
mind sipping, and I feel a bit more even in my body now. So thank you for
Good.
asking.
Good. That's good to hear. Yeah, I know that today may be quite a long day for you with all that work and projects that you had earlier today, but I'm glad that it's all over for you, and hopefully this is the last thing to do for you before you go to bed.
It is honestly, it's a pleasure to be here. I love, just communicating and checking in with community. So it's an honor. So thank you for the
Of,
opportunity.
of course, I'm very pleased. So, um, Andromeda, please introduce yourself and tell us some interesting things about you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name's Andromeda Osam-Peters. I'm your new Miss Universe Ghana as in less than 2 weeks ago. So it's all very exciting. I'm a dual citizen, spent my life in the States and also Ghana. So I've gone back and forth. It's a really exciting time for me to be representing Ghana. I feel like I have my whole family behind me. I've received so much support from Ghana and other parts of the world, and I'm so appreciative. As you've heard, I'm a mental health advocate and also licensed psychotherapist.
Woohoo! Yes, yes, you are a licensed psychotherapist. So, how is that career going for you?
It's quite rewarding. I feel like
Of
every
course.
day I'm learning something new. And I always said, like, I could hit it big tomorrow and I would still have my clients and be a therapist too. I feel like I really enjoy working with my clients. We have wonderful connection. I really feel like it's a very fulfilling role to be in. So, even if I win Miss Universe, I'm going to be like, hey, can I still see my therapy clients?
Of course, yes. I believe in you, yes, and I'm glad that you're making an impact on the community and helping others. That is so cool. And then because I want to do the same thing too. And speaking about mental health, you are a mental health advocate and you had have a podcast called Get Therapized and a platform called Your Mind Matters Global. Tell me more about them.
Yes, my podcast is very much in its baby stage, in its infancy. I have an amazing friend named Shannon Lynch, who I've also met through pageants. She actually crowned me as her successor at my very first pageant ever, like in
Oh,
2015. So she's a buddy of mine. So she's going to be helping me with all of the audio and production. Of course, we have the name and platform. And I decided to wait until after Miss Universe to get the episodes recorded. You never know what's going to happen at Miss Universe. And I feel like I'll make a lot more connections, meet so many girls, so hopefully even bring them onto the podcast. And my mental health initiative, Your Mind Matters Global, I started back in 2017 during the Me
okay.
Too movement. I really felt like there were so many women who were coming out about their experiences, and I was just like, gosh, that requires so much courage, and I was in awe. But I was also like wondering, like, well, what happens after that? What happens after we disclose these horrible things that have happened to us? And is there a space for us to heal? Is there a space for us to be supportive? And can there be any preventative measures to start to try to address gender based violence? So that's the birth of my organization. Of course, it's expanded from just doing women's self care workshops and mental health education panels in my community, but I also work with kids now, and it's just been really, really fruitful.
Great. That's great to hear. Good job, Andromeda. Yeah. So, yeah, you really give great mental health tips, and I really enjoy watching your contents on Instagram and TikTok. And just to tell you, one of my favorite mental health tips from you is the candy hack for anxiety. So, when you mention when you're having anxiety and you just need to chew on some sour candy so it distracts your mind from not being anxious and it will get better and better. So yeah, I like that one. That is so cute and feels very kitty, childish, whatever you call that. I don't know why, but yeah, I like that. But what is your favorite so far that you had
Hmm.
to the community?
I mean, the candy one is really great. I mean,
Yeah.
no surprise, I'm not eating much candy these days in preparation for Miss Universe. But It doesn't have to be candy. It could be a lemon. You can just take a
Okay.
lemon, just bite into it, and it's very just as shocking. It maybe a bit more than the candy. I think the candy is a bit more like easier to travel with, and it's a bit more pleasant than like
Yeah.
biting into lemon. But I do love lemon. But I also love ice. I've done some on ice as well. Taking an ice pack or ice cubes, or if you have frozen vegetables in your freezer,
Mhm.
frozen veggies, and just putting it in the parts of your body that target. It's called the vagus nerve. It's the
Okay.
longest nerve in your body.
Mhm.
And if you target that, it helps to stimulate the calming center of your brain. So you can put it right here on your chest, like the little ice pack, and the nerve runs all the way down from your head, all the way down to your toe. So just pressing that here for a few seconds, taking a few deep breaths is just so calming.
Oh, I see. Wow. Let's try that. So, ice, ice, baby.
Yes, I love it.
Thanks. And moving forward, um, I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, and I graduated 2 years ago. And I think my journey of finding a career regarding to the psychology field is kind of hard. I've been rejected at numerous interviews, and I have been working at some psychology jobs that it's not the perfect fit for me. And yeah, it's been going kind of like it's okay. Like for instance, I worked for ABA therapy for almost 2 years, and it was a rewarding job, and I love being around children and young adults who had have mental disabilities and like autism, Down syndrome, and you name it. Yes, I love being around them, and yeah, but besides, I had to find another career that maybe a better place that I can feel happier to be in. But anyways, I know there are many students and interns, graduates just like me in the
Yeah.
psychology field who are in the same positions as me, trying to find a perfect job for them and trying to find more internships and so forth. It is kind of a struggle. So why do you think that is, and what can the job market do better for these kind of people like me?
Yeah, that is really tough. I think the reality is that there is such a it's kind of a weird answer to your question. I'll preface with that. There
That's
is
fine.
such there's such a shortage of mental health professionals
Mm-hmm.
worldwide. Like that's the bigger issue. There's such a strong demand. And because of that, we're often placed very frantically. So
Mm-hmm.
we're often put in environments where we don't always have the most support. So, I've worked in a lot of inpatient facilities. And if people don't know what that is, like what they called it a long time ago, which is not the proper term, would be like a mental institution. So if people aren't familiar with what an inpatient facility is, I've worked in several of those where they've been like, around a lot of violence and really harsh conditions. And they needed my services and needed services of so many other people who were there. So we're often put in really difficult positions because they just have so many clients, so many patients, and not enough providers. So one of the things I'm hoping to amplify as Miss Universe Ghana, and if honored to be Miss Universe, is to also elevate the importance of, here's what you can get out of pursuing a career as a mental health professional. If we can get more mental health professionals involved and increase the number of providers, it'll be a lot easier to be placed out of a way that's not based on crisis and emergency and would be placed based on our abilities and our interests. I think we're missing that right now because there's such a high need.
Absolutely, yes. I do agree with you that there is a shortage of mental health professionals out there, especially there's a lot of people who really need them. So yes, I get what you're saying, and hopefully from a few years from now, we can have more mental health professional. And I try to go back to school and try to get a master's and hopefully a doctor's degree and become one too. Yes, I'm trying. Yes.
Yes. So proud of you. That's amazing.
Thank you. And about Ghana, I know some things about Ghana, such as it is an English-speaking country, and there are many tribes in Ghana. And what else am I thinking? Very rich in nature's the forest,
Yeah.
the coast. Yeah, and what else would you like to tell people about your beautiful country?
Yeah, I think that we're often known as very like gentle, kind, very hospitable people. And I definitely feel like I embody that. I think there's like a softness to us, but also a fierceness. I think people are often surprised. There are other African countries that are known for just being like, yeah, like, dominating energy. And we're known for being a bit more meek, but we are very powerful. And you've seen that in several other pageants already.
Mhm,
So I think I love our hospitality because my family and I always have this saying that if someone comes into our home, you're immediately family. We're going to sit you down at the table and ask you about your life and just welcome you in. We don't call people Mr., Miss. Everyone is mommy, daddy, auntie, uncle. You say a kwaba to welcome someone, and your response is yeah, ja, like, which is just like, just yes, yes to your mother, yes to your father, yes to your brother. Your colleagues are your brothers and sisters and cousins. So there is such a closeness that we have. And I just feel like it's so special. I also feel like my culture is very celebratory. Even things that you don't think we would celebrate, we do celebrate. Like, for example, my father, he was a high life musician from Ghana, and he started off in the 70s and 80s and came to the
mhm,
States. And he passed a few years ago, and it was, thank you, it was tough, but I think I've gotten through the hardest parts of that.
mhm.
And to be honest, like, even being Miss Universe Ghana was like our shared dream, so I kind of feel like I'm like fulfilling a legacy by even being here right now, so it feels like a big blessing. But I share that because at his funeral, one of my best friends came as well, and she said, Andromeda, is this a funeral or a party? And I was like, oh, well, it's both. And she was so confused because we had live music, we were dancing because we celebrate the people we love, whether they're with us or not anymore. And I just think that is such a special part of us. Like, everything is just, we love uniting and being with family and just like being celebratory. Everything is a party, but like in a good way, it feels nice to be around so much warmth all the time. We're definitely very warm people. And I would say in terms of the country, you can expect like a mixed experience. You already mentioned some of the different geographical locations we have. We have the
Mhm,
highest waterfall in West Africa. We've got rivers. We have a lot
mhm.
of national parks. You can interact with wildlife. We have beaches. We have so much music. Ghana actually is the originator of high life music, which is a genre that my father played. And it's
Ooh,
a fusion of like, Western instruments and our like traditional sounds. And that actually is the foundation for Afro beats that we have today. So naturally, we have tons of artists, so much music, lots of art. So honestly, I feel like any person, no matter what your interests are, can come to Ghana and have a good time. So come to.
absolutely. Thank you. I would love to go to Ghana someday. And yes, as you mentioned, people from Ghana are very have great hospitality, very kind and warm and welcoming. Yes, I agree with you. And when I used to work at that ABA job, so at times we take those kids to the local McDonald's nearby, and there's this very sweet manager that works there, and she has an accent. I said, "You're very kind. Thank you for your service. Where are you from?" And she said, "I am from Ghana." Ooh, Ghana, nice. And she told me some things about herself and family and culture. And she mentioned that she speaks Twi.
Yeah,
And
good, good.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, she's very nice. And I miss seeing her. It's been a while since I met her, but I'll revisit that McDonald's someday if I have the time to. Yeah, but yeah. And second, as you said that people in Ghana at funerals play loud music and try to like cheer on dancing. Yes, I have seen videos of people doing that. I felt that that was such a unique thing to do, and but I like how they think of the positive way, like with all the upbeat music and get together, jump around, dancing, just to uplift the spirit, right? Yeah,
Yes, yes, absolutely. I love that you know that.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love that they do that to think positive about the deceased, and yeah, and what's that called? Fantasy coffins. I learned about that too. I saw stories and documentaries of fantasy coffin. I thought that was a cute idea.
It's really important that we we like celebrate the lives of our loved ones. So even if we post, you might see us write like, well done, good job, like, to that loved one who's transitioned, to like congratulating them on like living a life and finishing a life. So it's quite special.
It is, yeah. And for example, I love watching the show The Amazing Race, and I think that episode was like a little more than a decade ago, like yeah, 12, 13, 14 years ago. And there's this task when they ask teams to go to this place and pull in these coffins. They look like, animals, fish, a dog, a cat, a horse, and or even just objects like a piano or a guitar, and they had to pull those heavy, empty coffins to the whatever designated location to receive their next clue and keep running. And yeah, I thought that was cute. So yeah, those fantasy coffins. Yeah.
Ah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So as we're getting close to Miss Universe, it's less than a month away. So how's it going for you? Like preparing and how you feeling and so forth.
Yeah. Good question. I feel like it's been a very short turnaround with me being, and I think it's the case for a lot of queens. I'm not the only one in the situation like this. So, but yeah, very quick turnaround. And people have asked like, well, how are you preparing very last minute? Well, I was preparing for Miss Universe Ghana for a while because I thought that we were going to have a show.
Hmm.
And because of the timing of just, them getting the franchise and everything, they decided to switch to correspondence. So everything were virtual castings and virtual interviews that I had to go through. So um, I'm not starting from scratch, which is good. I think I would be a little bit more worried if I didn't have any preparation under my belt and
Of course.
didn't have any pageant experience. So I feel very professional, but I also want to challenge myself and do more. And, even after my past pageant wins, I was like, this feels great, but I really want more. And I feel like it's an opportunity for me to fulfill that itch that I have of like wanting to just elevate to the next level. So I'm challenging myself to not even just in terms of performance. Performance for me feels very much like kind of like you're sharing in a different way. Because
Mm-hmm.
in addition to being a therapist, I also model, and I always describe modeling as communicating without words. So that's how I envision like being on stage. You're communicating without speaking. And what do you want to convey? So I think about my personality, and I think I'm more of a bubbly girl for sure, but on stage, I like have a little bit of sweetness, but a little bit of like, a little bit of fierceness too. So like I love kind of thinking about ways I want to blend the two together and how I want to just get that across.
Hmm.
um, I've also been thinking about interview and like the things that I've never shared in interview before, and like what I want to share with the judges and on stage for on stage question, like what I want the audience to know. So I'm thinking everything through and just thinking, what haven't I done before? Great. It might be like kind of like scary or daunting, but let's do it anyway. Because I mean, we don't get to go to Miss Universe every week. Like this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So I really feel like I want to put my all out there, but I also feel so confident in my sense of self that I don't feel like pressure to change either, it feels like an accomplishment because I feel like my very first pageant,
Hmm.
I was like, okay, well, if this winner did that, then maybe I have to do this, before I realized that pageants are all about just showcasing who you are as an individual.
Of
And
course.
so now I know who I am. I know my passions. I know my whys. And I'm excited to share that.
Of course, there you go. And so you know what to see and look forward to at the Miss Universe pageant interviews, the swimsuit round, and evening gown and final question. Yes. Before the preliminary starts, I know they had to do closed door interviews, which is the most important part. It's worth 60% of your overall performance. So yeah, and knowing that there are 135 contestants competing head to head, so it is a bit scary, nerve-wracking, but I know you got what it takes to give the best interview skills and speaking uh, and communication. So you got this. I believe in you. You can do this. So yeah, you got this.
Very excited. I actually I haven't even thought about, I know there's a lot of us, but I think it's so important to see that as like a celebratory thing. Like there are 130 of us from all over the world having this experience together.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to remember that you only compete with yourself. You know, like I know like the average like pageant fan doesn't see it that way. They're like, well, this person's in that and this and that. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Like if you're so focused on, for example, if you're so focused on the weather, you're not gonna be able to get any work done.
Mm-hmm.
Like so you have to really remember, like when it comes to the other girls, these are your sisters, you're having this
Mm-hmm.
experience. When it comes to a competition, it's you showing up as your best self, and that's all you can control.
There you go. Absolutely. I like to hear that. Yeah, so um I will be there in Thailand in 2.5 weeks. I'm so ready. I'm so excited, and I cannot wait to meet all these beautiful and wonderful ladies just like you. And yes, you know that you will see my face out there in the audience. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm so excited to meet you and get to hug you and take a selfie. Yes,
Likewise, likewise. I'm so excited that you invited me on today and just chit chat, especially about things like mental health. I think it's so important that we have these conversations,
of course.
even in pageant spaces. So thank you so much. And thank you for being an advocate too.
Of course, and it is my pleasure, and thank you so much for being part of my interview. Yes, mental health awareness all the way. Yes, it's
Awesome.
my passion. Yes.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so, so much.
My pleasure, Andromeda. You take care and have a good night and keep queening on.
Yes. See you in Thailand.
See you in
Bye.
Thailand. Bye. Mhm.